This podcast is a proud member of the Unidentified Network.
Police in Las Vegas found themselves in the middle of a UFO mystery last month after
To us, big eyes. They have big eyes.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal? Or?
Yeah, one of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
What? I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yeah, I'm looking right at him.
Okay, hang on.
He's right.
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, he's good. He's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
Mythical Legends Podcast with your host Daniel Barnett.
There he is.
Yeah, let's get it done, son. Let's get it done.
How are you, mate?
Oh, I'm good. I'm free of the kids for like an hour, so I'm going to have lots of energy, and then I will have no energy. No, I'm wonderful. It's good to see you, man. I love that intro. Every time I see it again, I'm like, man, that's so pro. It's beautiful.
Well, I'll put credit to Dad for that. That was all Dad. All Dad. Apart from Bigfoot, how have things been, Ryan?
Things have been awesome. I've been really deep diving back into sea serpents, where I kind of began before I branched out into the cryptid family tree, so to speak. So been working on a few things for a very important conference coming up in the UK, wink, wink. But yeah, just putting together these little kind of informational packets, more like cliff notes for monsters or cryptids, so that I can kind of give people a little bit more, see what they're into, and then I can deep dive and, really get into it if they'd like. So yeah, just having fun with it, man. Getting back on track. How about you?
Nice.
What's new with you?
Oh, mate, again, conference has been, I keep getting guest speakers, and I think I just can't stop. I just can't stop. So we just keep going and going and going.
Well, congratulations. Hey, there's nobody better at knocking on the door until somebody answers than you. So,
And then obviously busy with a certain something named My Bigfoot Life documentary.
Yes. Expect a delicious trailer very soon. Very excited. Yeah.
So, Ryan, I think we have a podcast to do. If I'm not mistaken, I think we have a podcast to do.
Well, let's. Who do we have? Who do we have?
Yeah.
Who's our victim tonight?
So to everyone out there, we have a very, very important guest. Now, as Ryan shall know, that you have all the very, very important people involved in a documentary or even film. So any film that you watch, Star Wars, Harry Potter, and in the Bigfoot world or cryptozoology world, Expedition Bigfoot, Finding Bigfoot, Alaskan Killer Bigfoot, everything. You have the people that are on the camera and doing the investigating. But something that people often forget is you have the people who are, number one, holding those cameras and behind the scenes. Now, Ryan, I think you're a little bit experienced in that, I think.
Yeah. Well, both sides of the camera, from in front to behind. I always wanted to be in front, but life just kind of guides you in a way. So I spent most of the time behind. And what people may or may not know is you have the people in front of the camera. You have the people holding the camera. But honestly, the most powerful people in the process of filmmaking are the people at the very end in the post, the editors, the post producers and whatnot. They hold true power. That's all I can say. Don't make them angry, ever.
And say the person we have on the podcast today is very special to some of the shows that you guys watch. So, specifically to Finding Bigfoot and Expedition Bigfoot. Now, Ryan, you have been friends with our guest for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this guest can't wait to get on. Now, I must say that this person is one of the best producers in the Bigfoot world, apart from Ryan.
Yes,
And I think that opinion may be changed in a minute, Ryan. So, to everyone out there, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Joshua Johnson.
Joshua Johnson.
Hey,
Joshua Johnson.
guys.
How
How's
are you,
things, mate?
sir?
You guys are amped up, and I also love your little intro. That is so cool. I clocked quite a few of those sound bites. The one that really gets me is that Kitsap County guy calling 911. You know what I'm talking about? You guys heard him in the intro.
Yeah.
His dog gets chucked over the fence, and he calls 911. Man, yeah. Somewhere out of Bainbridge Island in an area that I know very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one. I actually use that at the start of my Bigfoot talks. I just open with it and let it play, and then we come right into the talk, and people are like, wait, is that real? And I'm like, if you think that might be real, let's keep going. So yeah, it's spectacular.
He was inundated with Sasquatch activity for quite a while. He won't really talk to anybody. He talked to Ron Moorhead for a minute, but he won't talk to any TV producers anymore. Man, what a crazy! That's one of my favorite stories in the lore, in the Bigfoot lore. So good on you for using that in your intro.
Oh, thanks, mate. Say, I would love to take credit for it, but it wasn't me. It was my dad, and I think even Ryan knows that I'm like I would get in trouble if I took credit for that. So, how are things, mate?
Lovely. We just had a Thanksgiving over here in the United States, and everybody's back to school, and sun is still shining, obviously, in Southern California. Everything's great. Yeah.
Nice, amazing.
And
right,
the hair and beard
think...
are looking proper. That's all I can say. If I could still, mine's starting to thin now, so I can't grow it out anymore. So I love your look, Josh.
Yeah, you know, I just I don't care that my hair is thin. I just let it go.
I'm working on that level of confidence. I'm working on that level.
Yeah.
So, my first question for you, Josh, is let's go right back to the start, okay? Mm-hmm. And let's start with what got you interested in filmmaking and producing?
Oh, wow, that's a long time ago then. Because I actually did. I'm like not one of these people who just kind of jumped in. I really did want to make films ever since I was a little kid. And, you know, I wrote myself a letter in 5th grade about wanting to do special effects. I was really involved in like special effects making when I was a little kid, making latex masks and stuff like that. We were really into the Alien movie, and I wanted to make Alien, and so I thought I'd be a special effects creator for a long time because I drew. I like to draw and sculpt and all that kind of stuff. But then as I got older, I watched more artsy movies like, you know, Wild Strawberries and Hour of the Wolf and things like that. And so my tastes kind of changed, and I started to understand that filmmaking is a little bit more than just making monsters and gore. And then let's skip ahead a little bit more. I got into college, and I went to college for it, and I was like making my own movies, shooting them all on film. And I thought, okay, well, I can be a camera person. And I moved to Los Angeles, and being a camera person, I would only get jobs like 1 week or 2 weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. And then I got a job working in post-production on The Amazing Race. And they were like, we'll give you a job for 6 months. And then that job lasted 3 years. and I was able to move up and not just be digitizing for them. I was able to do other things and become a producer. Yeah, so and then, I mean, I did a lot of reality TV. I did the home remodel shows and competition shows and other things like that. And eventually, I landed at Finding Bigfoot, which was the first paranormal show I ever worked on. I never even thought about Bigfoot, even though I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. The Olympic Peninsula was my backyard. I grew up in Olympia, and we would go hiking and camping up in the Olympics, even in the winter. It was crazy. I don't know why I did that stuff. I have a few stories in there if you want to know them, but otherwise, I don't know. That's how I ended up here. I've made some films along the way, some short films and a feature film. I wrote a bunch of stuff and made quite a bit of TV in the field, in post, all the above. Yeah. So.
Well, I believe, Ryan, that this guy is a superstar. Don't you? I think
absolutely.
Josh is a superstar.
Multi-talented. Like I like to describe Josh as like an old school theater guy. He's like, all right, I'm going to work on the set design. I'm going to direct it. I'm actually going to star in it because my lead actor is a whack job, so he can't be here. I've already done the music for it, and the lighting is on its way. Like, that's Josh Johnson.
Yeah.
And but what we worked on, a majority, you cleaned up all of our, mistakes and shenanigans in post for a while on Finding Bigfoot, and then you also, because we needed you came out in the field because we couldn't find someone talented enough or someone with a thick enough skin to work with all those big personalities. We're a lovable kindergarten class, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have you gotta have something to hang with Bobo and Matt out there, to get Bobo out of bed and to, stay up all night with Matt.
Oh God. Dude, getting Matt is like, I remember every morning, 5 minutes to call, go get Matt. And I'm like, don't put that on me. And I'd go and he'd be in the pool with 5 minutes till call, in the pool doing this exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got to get his steps in. He's got to get his aerobics in,
I'd be like, you got 5 minutes. He's like, I can't even shampoo my hair in 5 minutes. Tell him I'll be there. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Good times.
God.
Yeah.
Well, then
I have one more question though. I always tell people, if you're going to get into filmmaking, right, the smartest route, in my opinion, is to get in on camera, sound, or editing. You actually went producing, which all the kudos in the world to you, because I found that to be a much harder avenue in. So my question's more for people that are listening that, that really want to move in that direction. What would be your advice on getting into the industry? What avenue would you start in with all your wisdom you have now?
Well, I don't think there's any one way. I think you're right. Like, you should try to come up with one of the big three, because the thing is that everybody is different, right? I like to write a lot. So as a producer, I'm not a very good logistics producer. Like, I've been told I am. I've been told that I'm fine. But I would much rather write, or come up with creative ideas on how to build something, and come up with cool ideas of where to go and what to look for, and do my research, and then kind of push people in the right direction, and that was a big strength of mine, like writing voiceover for edits and crafting stories after the fact was pretty good, something that I could do. And that's why I ended up being a producer on so many shows, because I could see what it looked like. I could see the big picture. And I think that's just because I fell into it. So getting back, any actual advice, work with your strengths. If you can sit down and edit for hours on end, and how to technically get into a computer and do Avid or Premiere, you should roll with it, and tell people and get in there. And school to me, school is everything. You do have to go to school. I think even if it's like just a 2-year like certification, if you're going to go to places like Full Sail or LA Film School or something like a art institute, those are great. Do them. You know, get the reps in, right? Like you got to get the reps in. Everything is about that. You start shooting, you're going to make tons of mistakes, but if you get those reps in, eventually you're like, I know exactly how to light this. I know how to shoot this, how it's going to make it look sharp and all that stuff. You're going to break your camera. You're going to lose footage. You're going to do all sorts of stuff. But if you don't stop, then you'll get somewhere. I think that's my advice. I don't know.
No, I think it's sound. One, it makes sense, right? Because you started with, you always wanted to be a director. You see the world as a movie. You see you see where it's going, and then you also have the creativity to, if other people aren't sure, you're like, well, have you thought of this? And they're like, whoa, out of left field. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think it's sound advice to follow your strengths and practice, right? I like school too because you make friends, and you're an artist. It's a lonely journey, right? Like, especially as a writer, that's like the loneliest. So to have like a group that can get you and you can kind of go through it with that I think is paramount too. So yeah, man, sound.
Hold on, Ryan. You learn how to make friends? I didn't know that.
You know, yeah.
I had no idea that was your power.
Yeah. Well, I had to stop aggressively hugging everyone, and then people started to like me more. You know.
Oh, you've stopped, have you? Oh,
well,
that's
really.
funny. So jumping and diving straight into finding Bigfoot, then, Josh. So, something that I have to ask was, what were some of your favorite moments behind the scenes of finding Bigfoot?
Oh, well, I'm not too sure. I'll tell you. I'll tell you a little bit about. Let me see. That's a really tough question. A lot of crazy stuff happened. The things that I remember that I really like probably aren't so much Bigfooty. I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's really about having friends and having a good time.
That's fine.
Bigfoot. I'll tell you. You know, well, the first time I met Ryan was probably, I think this is, and then correct me if I'm wrong. I think we were on the same set in Western Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of we were doing a Bigfoot show, but there's a lot of lore that goes into Western Pennsylvania about like the
Alleghenies,
the silent invasion. That, you know, there's UFOs coming there on a regular basis, and the Bigfoot world is like doesn't quite know where they want to stand on that. You know, like are they coming down? Are they related to UFOs? Do they talk to UFOs? Are they coming down because of UFOs? What is happening? But there's so many reports there that we couldn't give it up. And one of the things that really blew my mind, and this was the first time I had seen it, because I'd been on the show with them in a few places, one of which was your country, England, and our town hall was up in the north. And it wasn't a huge turnout, you know, it's like, you know, a sizable group of people who had stories and a lot of people who wanted to just come and listen. But when we were in Western Pennsylvania in Uniontown, PA, I think about 800 people showed up. There was a giant theater. It was one of those big old movie houses that had been built, and we packed it. The whole thing was filled. It was like sold out. It's free, but it was sold out. There's a line around the block to get in. People had driven from like Pittsburgh and Kentucky and Ohio and everything. And that just blew my mind that many people. And then, of course, the thing about finding Bigfoot is when they have those town halls, the first thing they say is, okay, who's seen one? And the hands. It is a sea of hands. Like there's probably 200 people in this room that saw that, so that was a very big eye opener for me. That was a moment I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And that was when I met you, and I think this might be embarrassing, but I think that the thing that Ryan had to do was procure some animal parts.
Oh yeah.
So if you watch that episode in Western Pennsylvania, probably somewhere in season 7 or 8, somewhere around there, we put some blood and guts out, and we went and we used some like black lights and that spray that you get to try to track the blood and guts once it had been laid. And the blood and guts got all over the car, and the car stunk for about a month.
Yeah. We single-handedly brought back the satanic panic of the 80s because they created a new mythology there, because kids apparently came up after the fact and were like, what is this massacre? Now, granted, the animals cleared out all the stuff, but it was still and that rock, remember the rock? It looked like it was an altar. I mean, we called it the altar rock. Yeah. Oh my God.
We smeared blood and guts all over an altar way up in the woods, and and the raccoons and the coyotes and every other animal, possible Bigfoots, and took them away, but like right away. I think we dropped them day one, and it was gone within a couple of days. But yeah, gross.
Yeah, that was up. Hey, I believe that was up near Lafayette County as well, right? Where I was riding were you in the car when we pulled in the driveway? Because there is a fourth person that I could never remember who it was, where we pulled in, and of course traffic started coming, and that girl walked out with a hand cannon like the Joker and Batman. Was that you? Were you in the car?
Yeah, I was driving. I was leading the caravan, and I'm not sure if you understand this, Daniel. When we produce television, we look like the CIA, the FBI is rolling into town.
Yeah. Black unmarked vehicles, following.
It's like 5 black SUVs filled with a bunch of dudes with all their headsets on and everything.
Yeah.
And we drove the wrong way, of course. And we were like, we needed to turn around. So we pulled into this driveway, and she sure is shooting. Walked out with a 357 in her hand. She's like, get off the land. It was, and that was, yeah.
Oh, dude. And the dog was gigantic. Even and she was this little frail thing. And I just remember Moneymaker putting down the window going, "It's okay, madam. I am Matt Moneymaker from Finding Bigfoot." Like that was it. And then literally we're in the car. Oh my God, what was his name? He was next to me going, "She got a gun." I mean, he was losing. I'm like, come. And then Moneymaker couldn't have been bothered. He just put his window up. She doesn't know me.
Yeah, that's the key. She doesn't know me.
She doesn't know me. Go.
Roll down the window. Do you know me?
Yeah. Oh, dude, he was a legend. He was a legend.
Oh, that's
Pain
funny.
Pain in the butt. A legend.
That is funny.
And just to conclude that, Josh, I so agree with you on that. That was the thing I loved most outside of traveling with our buddies and being paid to be in the woods, which is awesome. A creative person paid to travel. Wow. I wish it for everyone who is that kind of person. Is we opened up. Now, there were shows that came before Finding Bigfoot, but when Finding Bigfoot came, the environment was right. And at first, we couldn't get people to come to the town hall. We had to almost pay. And what you said, 800 people, we had to actually, they're standing outside. We had to kind of turn them away. We created an environment for these people to share their experiences without shame. And that is so therapeutic and so beautiful and wonderful. That's like something about the show that doesn't get talked about as much, which is one of the people, they like to rag on reality TV, but there is some good that comes from it. And we were a part of that, man. We were a part of that. And that's Yeah, that's the good fight, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, it was.
Pat yourselves on the back for that.
It was heartwarming. Yeah.
It was.
No, I mean it was a great moment. It was, and it really it stuck. Obviously, I think it was what is it? 12 years ago. Like it stuck.
I don't even want to think. It's so long.
Yeah, it was a really great moment to see that, and they did that quite often. Like in places like Humboldt County, they would fill those theaters all the way, standing room only. It would be wild.
Yeah.
And take away that stigma of being able to have these experiences and tell them to groups of people. That's what that did.
And you were saying too, it was very eye-opening. And what does that mean? Eye-opening. What that means is, who do you, like I always say to people, like, who would you need to hear it from for you to believe that Bigfoot is a true possibility? And like you said, when you have 800 people and 200 people raise their hands, and you met some of them, and some of them are retired first responders who are like, I've kept this secret my whole life. I need to get this off my chest. Like, then you're like, wait a sec. This isn't just a myth, and that moment, and even for you growing up in the Pacific Northwest, to kind of be like, oh, okay. That is beautiful too, right? Because then you're not just doing a show, you're actually a part of true research. Like we were doing our best to try and figure it out. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned a very good phrase there, Ryan. So Josh, you grew up on the Pacific Northwest then.
Yeah.
So as you possibly mentioned earlier, do you have any stories at all? Can be any cryptid at all out on the Pacific Northwest? Do you have any stories at all?
Aliens and go.
You mean me? Like if I've ever seen anything or
Yeah.
I haven't had quite very many mystical experiences myself, other than like doing TM. I don't really go too far into anything very unexplained. I can definitely say that I've had unexplained things happen to me, and that I'm open to the mysteries of the world. And going through the forest, I'm in awe of the beauty, and I have plenty of awe at the world around me. But I don't necessarily. I can't tell you that I saw a UFO. I can't tell you that I saw a Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. I remember growing up, and when I finally got onto Bigfoot show and was kind of going through a lot of this stuff, I realized that growing up, that many of the stories that my friends had about like going through certain wetlands, because in order to get to school, we would walk or ride our bikes, and we would invariably go through the forest to get there. Or if we're going to go to a friend's house, we're not going to be on the road ever. We're going to take the trails through the woods. And there was like quite a few wetlands near my house. And one of my friends, Adam Flint, he's like, that I saw a giant thing chasing me with two big red eyes that were like this far apart, and it was way up above me, and I rode my bike all the way to get to your house. Now, that's something that didn't occur to me to be a Bigfoot story until I was working on a Bigfoot show. But I heard that story when I was like 12 years old, 13 years old. So we were always looking out in that particular grass lake. But I didn't really ever think it was Bigfoot. I don't know. I also don't know if I believed him ever.
Yeah.
I think Adam just got a little scared. But I am very, very open to the world of mystery and magic. And before I got into Bigfoot, before I got into paranormal and things like ghosts and stuff like that, I was already kind of, I don't know what to talk about. I was like very into the occult and things like that. I've read a lot of Aleister Crowley's books and his ideas and all those things. John Dee and and Enochian magic and stuff like that was really interesting to me when I was a kid. So I still kind of have a soft spot for that. And TM is very, I recommend it to everyone if you want to have a mystical experience.
Josh, I knew I loved you. I knew, and there were good reasons. Because let me tell you, I consider myself a modern neuronaut, and we'll just leave it at that. And the TM is huge, but I like to kind of expedite that process because, unfortunately, sitting still, as you can tell, very hard for me. But that crowd, like fasting, I recommend to anyone. You want to go in the woods, you want to have a much better experience and connect way better with nature. Fast as many days as you can before you go in. It will be spiritual.
Yeah.
So I think that's super cool. But also your open-mindedness. I wouldn't anyone that's going to get in and you're going to go into paranormal or any cryptid or anything, if you're not at least open-minded to it, don't do it. Because I think that's one of the things on our team that kept us from having more genuine experiences is that a lot of people, they not only didn't believe at all, they were haters. They thought it was really dumb. And you don't build a team. If manifestation is real and our thoughts is like spell casting, then you do not build that team to go. Then it is just a job. So that's my 2 cents. And the fact that you're open-minded and radically skilled, and you have this new background that I want to talk to you more about some other time. Makes you perfect. You're perfect. So what? And you're skeptical, which is good because you're not going to be like the rest of us that jump on everything. We're like, yeah, that was it. You're like, let's proceed cautiously.
Yeah. It just so one of the things that I've done in more recent years is I was very instrumental in bringing a lot of our Native American friends on to the shows. And one of the reasons why is because every story that they seem to have and they want to share is like about having the right mindset and going with the right perspective in the forest. And so I was like, all right, I can sneak this in as as a little bit of a mystical idea that won't get questioned. There's a lot of people who are like, okay, is it an ape? Is it like this primate that's walking around, or is it some sort of spiritual being? And for me, I don't seem to even worry about that question. I would much rather just be like, okay, well, what are the stories telling us, and what people who've seen things and whatever, we'll just follow what they have to say. And so particularly a lot of the indigenous people on the Olympic Peninsula are just like, you're not going to find them if you're looking for them. You're only going to find them if you're just sitting there and you're not, or if you're hunting, if you're doing something else, you may run into somebody. And so it definitely, I don't necessarily close my mind when we're walking around with cameras and we're making a TV show, but I just tell myself, I'm here to make a television show. Mm-hmm. And if I run into Bigfoot, then that'll be icing on the cake.
Well, hey, he just gave you the key, by the way, everyone. It's stop trying to fall in love and fall in love.
There you go.
And I say, when going back to the comment that you said about kind of the beauty out on the Olympic Peninsula, couple of months ago, I got the experience to actually go out there. Very, very, very sadly with Ryan, which was just ruined the trip.
Lots of hugs.
And say the nature and beauty out there is incredible. It's just fantastic. And it's somewhere that you don't think it exists. As in, if you haven't been, you can't imagine it. You can't imagine the trees. You can't imagine the high hills and looking down a valley, and it's just incredible. It's just incredible how nature can have that in the world. And the open mind bit is probably one of the best pieces of advice in the world. in the Bigfoot world is if you don't have that open mind, then there's no point. There's no point in kind of the go on, Ryan.
Well, it's just, and to add to what you said, first of all, thank you so much for bringing that Native American perspective into the show. That is more important than anyone even realizes, because what is it they're really preaching at the end of the day is RESPC. Yeah, geez, I can't even spell respect. Respect. It's respect. And having that respect, like, listen, my life changed after we went on to the reservations, and I actually shut my know-it-all mind off and went, okay, I'm not having anything really awesome happen. They're saying be respectful, go there, set your intention, leave an offering, and then go about your business. And like you said, stop trying so hard. Like we're really going to knock on some trees and be able to run up on them. Like, give me a break, right? And when I started doing that, that's when the world opened up for me, and I began to get closer to whatever this phenomenon is that's going out there. And Josh, you're one of the few people that's going to get this, but all my greatest experiences I had on that show, and even when I would go off with one other person named Mike Geschwin, I had all sorts of stuff happen. Who does that young man kind of remind you of? Mike Geschwin, Daniel. They're like the same size, and I had this realization, and because we've been having interesting things happen around us. And I don't know what it is. I'd like to believe it's me and my positivity and I'm respectful, but I don't think so. At the end of the day, I look like this little head alpha running around. But he's pure. He's got a good, like a good soul. And I thought Mike had a really good soul. Anyway, I had that realization. And I was like, oh man, we got to keep going. We're gonna solve this together.
Yeah. So my final question for you, Josh, on finding Bigfoot. Don't worry, Ryan.
Final question.
Don't worry. We're not done yet. We're not done. Okay. What's your favorite episode of Finding Bigfoot that you were there for?
That I was there in the field. Because as he said, I did a lot of posts. The first episode that I ever worked on was the Himalayas one, and that was a beast. Those are 2-hour long episodes, and it was really hard to cut because there was a lot of issues. You can imagine, like flying and traversing the highest mountain range in the world can be a little weird. But as the seasons went on and I got to be a little bit more hands-on and kind of come up with ideas for the show and say, hey, why don't we go here? Why don't we go there? What are we doing? A lot of the times finding Bigfoot, one of the things that we loved was that we would get on the Soup every week. And I don't know if you know what the Soup is, but it was like a show that would make fun of us. And we really understood that like laughing at ourselves was kind of, one of the best things that we could do. Because why fight it, Bobo is hilarious, and some of the things that we did were pretty ridiculous. So we were also considered, people would be like, oh, this show's just like Scooby-Doo, like you're just like looking for the guy every week and it's just ridiculous. And I said to the showrunner, I go, well, the best thing about Scooby-Doo was when they had like the Harlem Globetrotters on, or like whoever on, and Batman and Robin come on Scooby-Doo, and like ta-da, the whole show got like completely reinvigorated. And he was like, what, do you want to have guest stars? And I was like, absolutely want to have guest stars. So it just so happened that Bobcat Goldthwait had just made a Bigfoot movie, and Cliff was there when he was making the Bigfoot movie and got to talk to Bobcat about it. And Bobcat was like, I believe in Bigfoot. So I said, well, there we go. Just call him up, because he's probably never been out in the woods looking.
Yep.
So we went out in the woods looking for Bigfoot with Bobcat. So, and it was pretty good. It was great because he had a few fun things to say about the whole phenomena. I think one of the things that I took away from it was, he's gonna, people are always like, these Christians out there are like, hey, how can you believe in Bigfoot? And he's like, well, I got friends who've seen Bigfoot. I don't know if anybody's seen Jesus around here.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, he's pretty funny. And he also, we heard a pretty good howl. And the best thing was he was totally freaked out. He's like, what the hell was that? And we're all just like, what do you think it was? I don't know. And we get back and he's just like, you guys are all so calm about all of this. I'm like, it's 3 a.m. I've been up for 16 hours. I really just need to go to bed. Like, can we just get back to the hotel? We've been going for weeks. I'm glad you had an experience with Bigfoot, Bob, but we're done. It was pretty. That was really special because I grew up watching his movies, and I thought he was really funny, and it was nice to be able to have him on the show, to be able to promote his film, and all that. It was really good. And so if you can find, I think the other thing too is that as Ryan can attest to this, I was in one of the recreations for that particular episode.
My favorite.
Yeah, exactly. When you get to be in a recreation, you're like, okay, cool. I don't have to worry about all the logistics. I don't have to worry about anything. All I have to do is be in character and just play my role. And there's a very freeing thing in acting that you can do. And I know that Ryan was New York.
Oh, I was in so many that Chad threatened to fire me if I put myself in another one, and then I put myself in like 3 more, but he never fired me, thank goodness. Oh, he's so pissed. I was like, nobody cares. They don't care if it's still me. If anyone's analyzing the show that much that they're like, I'm annoyed, that guy's been in too many recrees, then fire me. And he's like, you're making too much sense. You're an idiot.
I'm gonna say the one that put it over the top was the Beast of Bray Road. Is that it? Where you guys cops?
Bosky and I, the cops with the mustaches, we grew them out and everything.
Yeah, that was solid. You guys won the Reenactors Academy Awards.
Yeah,
for that episode.
And we were saying that's what's cool. Like, there should be an award for that. Like, to us, that was like the world. Like, that was a big moment, and we didn't care what anyone else thought.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I love the wait. What was your recreate? What did you do?
I was driving this amazing 1970s second base mobile van. It's like a van that's all carpeted inside.
Oh man, I don't even remember that.
That's awesome. 70s vibe, and I had short shorts on, and I was like a camp counselor. Oh,
this is
like it looks like wet hot American summer.
Amazing movie, by the way.
Cruising along the the Bigfoot ran across the road, and I got a flare out and went up the hill trying to look for him.
Oh, yours is good.
It was good. It was solid, man. Love those 70s recrees if you can get them.
I wore this for you, by the way, with the lapel. This is my 70s velour jacket, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, Josh Johnson's going to appreciate this style.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if you're in the military or if you're going to go to the disco.
No, I'm just a hoo-ha. Always been. Oh, and the other thing I was going to say, how funny that you had Bobcat on. Mm-hmm. Bobcat does Willow Creek, and who's the star of Willow Creek? That then you go on. I mean, that's how kind of small and beautiful the world is.
Yeah,
right?
it's definitely gotten smaller.
Yeah.
So to everyone out there, we are not done. I'm gonna shove a quick advert on, so we can have a bit of a kind of for 30 seconds. Let's say, Ryan, you know what's coming. Josh, I'm so sorry about this advert. We'll laugh after this.
He's gonna love it.
All right. Gonna love it. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
For half an hour on Saturday afternoons and for a quarter of an hour on Wednesday evenings, the world's only show about hard science, weird shit and surreality. And it's co-presented by an anthropomorphic Morphic chicken. Be there or be square.
That's Sir Jonathan Downs. He is a legend in the space. You know, the real world Hagrid. You know.
So, Josh, what is your thought on that advert?
Well, I love his accent. I mean,
it's fake.
Yeah, I mean, where is he from? Oxfordshire.
He actually lives an hour and a half down from me.
Middle Earth.
Yeah, so the Piddle Trentide or something like that. Ryan, have you been to Piddle Trentide?
No, but I just want to say that, but I'm afraid to say it because I'm mumbling my words today.
Yeah.
Also, Gesundheit.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really cute. The music is a choice.
Look at him tiptoeing.
It's lovely. So it's great. If they're helping you out, I love it.
So, right, the topic that I've been waiting for. Now, I'm gonna introduce why this topic is probably the most favorite topic of mine, and probably means the most in the Bigfoot world. So, Ryan's heard this story thousands of times. It is the Oi, Ryan. Is back when I got into the Bigfoot world, so 3-4 years ago. I was in my grandparents' house, and I was walking upstairs, and I passed my granddad's room, and I saw that he had a TV program on that was like, "Oh, let's run." I went, "Oh, let's see what that is." So I crouched next to him, and I had my cousin in the room. I had my sister in the room as well, and we were all watching this TV program. I had no idea what this was, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I was watching it. I'm going, "Oh my god!" And then I see Ryan RPG Golembeske come up on the TV. And I go,
"It's his favorite moment," you know.
I go, "Oh, he looks cool." I didn't actually think that at the time. I was watching this episode, and it was amazing. And once the episode finished, I'm like, "Wow, Gramps, what was that?" And he went, "That was a program called Expedition Bigfoot." I went, "Oh, really?" So I went home, and I continued watching it. And I just then watched it over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and guess what? Over again. And I just got so into it that I then started my own expedition called Expedition Deer, because at that point I didn't think Bigfoot was in the UK. So I got my nan together, I got my cousin and sister, and we went out to the forest and we looked for deer, and we learned how to cast prints, and that was all from that show. And where it's gone to now, and I sent Ryan a message the day I watched it, and he replied 3 years later. So,
busy.
And we that is how I started. That is literally by walking past a room. That's how all this has happened. That's how it's blown up. That's how I'm here. And that's which is why that show means so much to. And I watch every episode. I've watched every episode probably about 50 times, and that's not a joke. So
this is where you say to Josh, "Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much."
Oh no, thank you. Yeah, we make it for people to watch. So yeah, that's amazing.
You changed his life, Josh.
Okay.
Like
That's not
Okay.
kidding, Josh. And
It was a good
and I know, I know that's where kind of people go, oh no, but honestly, that's honestly where that stems from. That's
Oh,
where all
cool.
this has happened. And every time I bring that up to Ryan, he then cries in front of me. I'm like, oh, you idiot. Um, so that's where that means so much. Now let's crack right into it. So I'm going to start with Ryan because I started the last bit. So Ryan, you can ask the first question about Expedition Bigfoot. Go.
Well, first I'm going to sidebar just a little bit. So what's wonderful is, Josh, you obviously know what happened to me and how devastating that was, because
Yeah.
my only problem with the show is it needs a true Bigfooter on it to have a heart, like a true Bigfooting heart. And anyway, that's a sidebar. But when I passed away, this young man was born. And when I finally got together with him and we started adventuring, I realized that. And that was the moment I was finally able to let that go. So I was pretty bummed for a long time. But anyway, so that's why this is like so beautiful that we've become like a team up together. Now with that said, I'm mostly curious. So you came in and they brought you in for your superpowers and to work with Post and stuff. And what is it about the show that like you brought in the Native American aspect to Finding Bigfoot? You brought in Let's Bring in Stars. Are there any innovations with this show that they were able to let you shine with your creativity and your ability as a director to really, take it to the next level? Because obviously Expedition Bigfoot feels like the next level to most of us, who are watching it. So anything like that you're most proud of, you love, or aspects that you're excited about that are coming, anything you can talk about.
Well, yeah. So we could talk about the first season too. It's like I got brought in because, frankly, they didn't really quite know how to do it. They were in the middle of planning it.
Yep.
And as much as all these people are so good at their job and they knew exactly what kind of show they wanted to make, I think that I had worked on Whale Wars with the showrunner, and he saw that I worked on Finding Bigfoot, and he called me and he's like, I'm in trouble because we're planning this thing and I don't really know how to plan it. Like, because I don't do this. We don't go in the woods. I don't go in the woods, you know. Um, and I think that what I brought to the table wasn't just like you just back pocket knowledge of all the Bigfoot lore in general, just like what we can like expect to see and find and whatever. But the idea that we would scrutinize every single part, every single thing that we would find. And so I didn't go in the field for the first season, but I was there for second on up every season that's ever been since then. But when I would get the footage back, I helped plan what we would do and what we would find possibly and what we would be looking for. So the idea is that, okay, if we found a footprint, this is how we're going. This is our task. We're gonna like be able to 3D scan it because I went and got 3D scanners. We're going to be able to print it with the plaster print, and then we're going to have to talk to X, Y, and Z, and this is what you're looking for, and this is, because the primatologist we have, Dr. Murray Mayer, is amazing, but she doesn't go into the Pacific Northwest to look for primates. She's been to the Congo and she's looked and she's met with like, Western lowland gorillas. So she's not sitting there saying, oh, well, this could be a bear double step. She's not looking at like bears in the wild. She knows that there's gorillas there. So I'm like, okay, well, this is how you're going to delineate a bear from a Bigfoot. This is how you're going to delineate this and this and this. And those kinds of things needed to be put in place and there so that we could take this very seriously. I think one of the things that we wanted to separate ourselves from Finding Bigfoot was the comedy. And Finding Bigfoot was lovely and playful, and it was really fun to make. But I think a lot of people saw Expedition Bigfoot as something very scientific, and it was because we were scrutinizing the evidence. And I would go and I would find those experts who could say yes or no, or somebody who could say, well, if this is your findings, these are your scientific findings, might not be evidence, but it would mean X, Y, and Z. And that kind of, I hope that elevated the show a little bit. I also went and I was very instrumental in getting a lot of the witnesses, especially for season 1, and those people are the, like, as far as I'm concerned, that is the real evidence that we have to go on, because we don't know where to go unless we have witnesses to tell us where to go. We don't know what we're looking for unless we have witnesses to tell us what they've seen. All of those things. We were able to get audio recordings from the Owl Moon Lab and those guys there. We were able to get other things, like we worked with a lot of other Bigfooters, and that's what I brought to the table. I was able to call those people, get guys who had been researching for a long time in the field, and get their expertise on, like, doing audio analysis and all those other things. And then also, they call me and I go, hey, I heard about this weird fixed wing drone that we can get from the military.
Yeah.
And then I go out and get that guy, and that kind of stuff. And it's so much is that I don't work on finding Bigfoot anymore, but when they came back, they had to change up their game a little bit. We like, the showrunner gave me a call. He's like, where do you guys get all your shit? And I'm like, wouldn't you like to know? I share. I might disagree.
And say, sat back listening to that, and say, I think I'm gonna say season 1 and 3 are my favourite seasons of all. They're all brilliant, but especially season 1. What you've just said, it shows on that show. It shows that you come out with that. It shows that there are obviously people working behind the scenes, getting these amazing people. And say, you just mentioned the Owl Moon Lab, and I'm now good friends with Tobe Johnson, who kind of was with you guys, and kind of I've spoken to most of the people that are involved, kind of witness wise, and it's just amazing to hear that 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 goes on, and say, all the witnesses I would completely agree with you, is a completely different job in its hand. You've got managing who to get, and then which is why I think you guys do an incredible job in what you do, because it takes work. It takes work to get a military drone, and it takes work to get these people in. It takes work to get in contact with them, which is why I think that's what shows. And Josh, the work that you've just said definitely shows in the show, without a shadow of doubt.
And I'd like to add something too. There's something the two of you share, which is an ability to call and talk and ask, right? But I'd like people to know too, especially the younger audience that are listening. You don't have to be a professional with tons of experience to do that. All you need is the ability to pick up the phone and call up and say, I'm really passionate about this, and I would like to do it, which is what Daniel has done masterfully. And obviously what you do professionally. And so don't ever think you can't do it. Like, a producer is someone who's passionate. That's your foundation. From there, fly.
Yeah, it is tough to make those calls. It's funny because when I hire a producer who is like, well, I sent some emails and I went on their website and I filled out their form, and I'm like, what's their phone number? And that's usually where it goes. It's like, you're not going to get a hold of anybody unless you call them. You're not gonna, and like once you get somebody on the phone, you tell them who you are, what you want to do, and then they start to kind of respond.
Thank you.
It is.
Thank you, Josh.
It is a thing. People don't want, there's a lot of barriers. You want a text message, you want to, you want to do a direct message, you want to do all that stuff. You kind of, but if you take the full step and you just dive in, and it is scary, and it is, like maybe out of your comfort zone to ask for help, but yeah.
But then how good do you feel after, though? When you achieve that piece to the puzzle, this beautiful thing you are building, and that becomes an integral part. That always made me feel like $1 million,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And say, to prove that right, I think I phoned Ryan 16 times today, and that's not a joke. I think I actually phoned him 16 times.
It woke me up. I'm in the middle of homeschooling. I'm dealing with chickens. Yeah.
but that's a skill that is probably one of the best things that we do share, Josh, and that's not a skill many people have in the world.
Yeah.
And when it's like I spoke to someone earlier about being a vendor at my conference, they emailed me. I went, I'm just gonna ring you. I just to talk. It's the same thing. I did the same thing with Jeff Meldrum. I rang him, went, hi, and I just rolled with that. That's literally how I roll. I will ring anyone I need to. And that's where I go. I rang Ronnie and went, hey mate, how you doing? And that's how I've made those connections. And that's how I roll. And I think that's a brilliant skill to have. And anyone watching, that skill is, if you have that, then you can go anywhere. You can go anywhere.
Josh, if you need the youngest producer in the field someday on the show, I promise you, I'll pay if he doesn't outperform everyone with the exception of yourself. No, he's tenacious. Like, you look up tenacious in the dictionary and it'll be,
I love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So one of my questions for you, Josh, is, so picking out the locations and kind of, you said that you've actually been out there. What's it like to be out there with them?
Well, RPG brought it up earlier. It is a dream. I mean, I don't know if you know about, having a forest bath, but that's a very real thing. I typically, I I ebb and flow. I have a full family life. I have a very different life, that I lead when I'm home, and then when I go in the field for these shows, it's like 6 weeks, 6 days a week. Somewhere around 16 hours a day each day. So there's no time to really rest or eat or anything like that. So it's very, I want to say, monastic or Spartan like. I don't know what to call it, but and I'm not trying to act like I'm a tough guy, but the reality is you gotta go and start working out before you go. Like I would get to the point where I could run 2 miles a day and do all that stuff, because the first thing that you find out is that you're going to put about 5 miles on your feet every day, just hiking through the woods. So you have to be prepared for that. And you have to be prepared for all of the bad weather and the cold and the wet. And then, one of the things that I always say about, we did a season in Alaska. One of the things about Alaska that I just told everybody over and over and over again is you have to get sleep, and the sun stays up, almost 20 hours. You get about 4 hours of almost darkness, certain times of the year. And people will stop sleeping. And we had multiple people go down, because they just didn't pick their feet up, slipped on a rock, hit a tree root, and slipped and then broke a rib, and then you can't carry a camera with broken ribs. It's hard to breathe. It's hard to do anything, and so I'll say going out in the field, the first thing I do is I'm prepping, but I'm also just completely overjoyed that I'm just going to be able to stand there amongst giant trees, like, that you've seen now that you've been in the Pacific Northwest, but there's nothing like them. I need trees in my life. I need like old growth forests in my life, and I get it out of this show. I really do. I don't even worry about what's happening. I just go and I get to stand there in the trees, listen to the sounds of the forest instead of listening to the sounds of the freeway, which is really, really soothing and just kind of perfect. The other thing is when it's about this show, I start like making television, being on set, even making a movie that's completely scripted. All of those things that you do in the entertainment business are highly creative, and you're working creatively with other people like a team. And so there's a high to it. There's like a flow to it, and that's really wonderful. And it can be like people can get in fights and people can get really throw their ego in there. But if you're serving the project and you're not serving yourself, it starts to become a thing, and other people see that, and then we have a very, very different kind of vibe on the Expedition Bigfoot team, something that is very special for production. And it's hard to explain for people who haven't been in production, but production can be very toxic and very tough, like, because people want to throw their weight around and be in charge. But it's a bunch of commies. We're all lovey-dovey, hugging little, like, everybody is equal. Like, we like to, make sure everybody's happy and peaceful, and, because it's low stakes, man. You're just making TV. So let's have a good time in the woods. And that's really what it is. It's like, so you mentioned like picking the locations. We kind of can't pick our locations. We have to go where they are. We have to go where the story is. If somebody is saying this is where they are right now, these are the sightings that just happened like last month, and we know that we're having multiple sightings, and there might be like a family group or something, we go there. And we do that. We can plan about 3 months in advance, but that's about it. And we almost always end up in the Pacific Northwest, because those are the kinds of people that we already know. That's the groups that we're listening to. That's the witnesses that we're finding. And it's been a long time since I've been out to Jersey or like Kentucky or anything like that, because I haven't really been looking. But I know that Florida is calling, like, I'm sure they're there. So that's, as far as like actually picking a location, we're usually following the story. It's not necessarily something like I want to go and kick my feet up in Costa Rica, as much as that would be nice. I don't have any Bigfoot in Costa Rica.
And so it's just popped in my head that there was one bit in Expedition Bigfoot where we heard your voice. It was hold on. I think it would have been season 3. It would have been at the end where Maria and you were with a horse wrangler, and and you and Maria said, "Hey, Josh," and you went, "Yeah, I'm here," and then you kind of got out, and the camera got out of the tent, and then kind of we just heard your voice in the background, so that just popped in my head.
Yeah. So I'll just peel back the curtain of reality TV for just a sec, just so you can see a little bit of what happens. When when we go out on these expeditions, people say like we'll want to be like, it's scripted and whatever. But just think about something like this. It's like, well, we're not going to be able to get a horse wrangler unless we call them up before we show up.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that we're going to call these horse wranglers. We know that we're going to ask them to do it. And the idea comes from like the fact that, Patterson and Gimlin were on horseback when they saw Bigfoot. And so I was like, hey, we need to get on horseback and just dial in the crew. So it's just me and Maria on horseback, because Ronnie wanted to go and do something else. And so that's as much as scripted as it gets. So we're out there, we're like, hey, we got some horses. We had to plan to get the horses. We're not just doing it like, we can't just go find some horses.
You don't have pocket horses? Like,
so
who doesn't?
The other thing too is that like you got to call the insurance company to tell them you're going to get on a damn horse, because if you fall off, you can. I mean, I don't know if you've ever, Christopher Reeve. I mean, that guy was Superman. It's no good.
Mm-hmm.
So, so Maria and I went with this lovely young woman who was about 18, probably could have kicked all of our asses. She lived on the farm, lived on the horse, like was tough as nails, and she took us into the back country on some horses, and we had to camp, and so it was just me and them, and in the middle of the night the horses got spooked. And that's the other thing that's so great about having animals with you, is they know more than you'll ever know. Their senses are going. They know if there's a predator nearby, and they're going to tell you. And that was a really great moment, because I knew that you set up yourself with you put yourself into the opportunities, right? Like you kind of you set yourself up for success that way. So we set ourselves up, and sure enough, something happened, and it was really fun. You say you're going to hear my voice. I just assume I'm all over the show, because it's like me and then the other producer who works with Russell is just it just depends on when they want to use it. But that was a fun moment. I had a good time.
So Ryan, I will push this back to you, and then I think we'll ask our last couple of questions before wrapping it up.
Oh, just shooting it. Yeah, man, forest bathing, and that's the one thing I think people don't understand who haven't had the wonderful experience yet of working on a show, especially a travel show that puts you out in nature. You're a Navy SEAL of sorts, an artistic Navy SEAL, and your gun is your camera, and you have to stay sharp in insane conditions with very long hours. And if you're not a little bit of a masochist, like you don't enjoy being challenged physically, mentally, emotionally, then it isn't for you. It really isn't. But I always say to people, like, how bad do you want it? Is it really your calling? Because if it is, you will find a way. And not only will you find a way, you'll do it to the best of your ability and shine so bright that your team, which is what Josh is doing, also shines bright around you. And that's leadership. And I wish it for everyone. And I also wish that everyone gets to experience what the three of us are doing now in our lives. If you're into this, go out, make the friends you need, and go for it. All you need is the passion. That's your starting point.
The only key is don't make friends with RPG.
Yeah, I'm gonna hug the hell out of you. That's all right, and I'm gonna lift you up. I only pump you up. I don't fight. It's enough of that in the world.
Very good.
So, Josh, mate, it has been an incredible podcast, and say, mate, can't thank you enough. And say, to be completely honest, Ryan and myself were quite nervous for this podcast. To be completely honest, it has been an incredible podcast. And Ryan, even say, mate.
I really loved what you said about that your team gels and that you're all out there for each other, because that was one of the few things that I don't miss about working in Hollywood or reality TV, which was that difficult teamwork. But the fact that you guys are a family, I'm so happy for you, Josh.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. No. I'm telling you, it's very rare, and
Yep.
it's and I count my blessings on that, and that's just it. Like, yeah. And even and the cast as well.
Sure.
Like all those guys, everybody is so great, and I would say that about the Finding Bigfoot, but everybody has their quirks too. I miss my time with Bobo and Cliff and Renee and sometimes Matt.
Sometimes. Well, hey, that's all I can say is ever since I've gotten together with Daniel and his team and we've been adventuring together, it feels like home.
Yeah.
And once again, I wish that for everyone. And we've been up to some wonderful things that we can talk about some other time. But like, yeah, it's find your people, find your tribe, and then you'll find Bigfoot.
Yeah. Daniel and Ryan, I am looking forward to your documentary. I would love to see it. I please keep us informed.
Yeah.
And I will let you know if anything else comes on the horizon. If there's a chupacabra that I found, or
Definitely. So to everyone out there, I thank you so much for watching this podcast. It has been incredible. Thank you to our co-host, Mr. RPG, and thank you to our guest, Josh Johnson. So now here the outro comes, and good night.